This podcast is proudly brought to you by Ravine Purified Water. Rethink your lifestyle.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nyazungu, aka the Chartered Vendor. Welcome to Jailbreak Africa. This is a program which we actually bring to you. We want to emancipate the minds of Africans in terms of business, in terms of life, in terms of the knowledge gap which exists between Africa and other continents. So today, I'm actually joined by someone special, and we're going to talk about a subject which I'm passionate about, where I think most of us are also missing out, and we don't know that subject very well. So today we're just going to talk about public speaking, and I'm joined by Mr. Blessing Mandipira. Mr. Blessing, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Jay. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Excellent.
So, Mr. Blessing, welcome to Jailbreak Africa, and this is a program whereby we talk about business, we talk about presentations, which we also do as business people. We talk about ideas, marketing, sales, finance, everything. So, who is Mr. Blessing?
Mr. Blessing is a trainer. I coach public speaking specifically for people that are in business.
Okay.
And those that desire to improve their platform presence.
Okay.
It's something that I've been doing for over a decade now. Because
Serious?
I started in 2012.
Serious?
Yes.
That's a long journey. How was it?
It's been a beautiful journey because I followed my passion. I followed something that I truly love. So I'm glad I'm now here.
So, like, if we talk about public speaking, and some people, they don't even know what is public speaking. To start with, to say what is called a public speaker and how to become a speaker. And also, Mr. Blessing, by the way, is also an author. Dazzle Your Audience, and this is a book which he authored in 2012, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, what is public speaking, and why is it important in our daily lives?
Public speaking is an art. It's having someone delivering a presentation in front of a crowd.
Yes.
Which is a fear that so many of us actually have.
Yeah.
So, in order for someone to become comfortable in public speaking, number one, you need to acknowledge that you can do it. Because it's a fear that 85% of Americans have. And they say that there are three fears in life. The first fear is the fear of death.
Exactly.
The second one is the fear of public speaking. But the third one is the fear of dying while speaking in public. So it's a serious phobia.
It's a serious phobia, exactly.
But the beauty about it is that it's learnable.
It's learnable,
Someone
exactly.
Can learn it and master it and become effective at it.
Okay.
Yes.
So, your journey, where I know that you're from, these are wise men from the east. I know that it's from Tare there, that side, Manicaland.
Yes.
But were you good at it whilst you were at school? Was it your vision, or was it, how did you start, or how did you see yourself as a coach? Because this is unique. He's an entrepreneur, by the way, because to me, when I see someone who is actually saying they are coaching, and they're teaching people how to speak in public, and they're also earning a living through that. That makes you an entrepreneur, because it's a unique service which you are delivering, and I think it's one of the most important services which is you are delivering, and thumbs up to you. But the question now is, how did you get into it? How did you say, this is what I want to do? I know that when you're young, some of us, personally, I used to say when I was in primary, I want to be a soldier. When I was now in secondary, I said I want to be an accountant.
Yeah.
I ended up being an accountant, but I want to hear the journey. How did it really start?
My story dates back when I was still a young man. Of course, when I used to stay with my grandmother, who was a domestic worker. We lived in a one-roomed house in Cranbourne.
Serious?
And every time I finished school and I come back, I would go by the marketplace and start selling on behalf of my grandmother. I failed my O-levels. My grandmother was really infuriated because of that. She felt like I let her down, because then they would talk about having 5 subjects. But if you have those 5 subjects and you don't have maths, English and science, it's as good as you don't have 5 subjects. So my grandmother was very disappointed when I failed. And she decided to chase me away from home because of that. So on a Friday night, 11 p.m., I left her house. And I slept at a friend's house. And the next morning, I was on the streets looking for a job. And the job I got was to become a gardener. And for 5 good years, I worked as a gardener by a church called Cranbourne Community Church.
Serious?
And when I was there at that church, I would always marvel at pastors and teachers that would come and preach in church. And I wanted to know how they did it, or what is it exactly that they did in order for them to become so eloquent and so articulate and so impeccable in communication that even when you're seated, you know, words are so powerful, they move you and you feel your heart thudding like this.
Exactly.
You know? So I was moved. I think I remember Lines Vagurupira.
Exactly.
Yeah, this man was a powerful speaker, and he's still around. Great man, you know, Pastor Dube. These were names of people that were very eloquent. So that inspired me, and I wanted to do that. But I remember approaching one of my pastors and trying to find out, how can I also be like this? Unfortunately, I was told that you ought to be gifted. You ought to have a gift.
It was supposed to be an inborn thing.
Yes. And I'm looking at myself and I'm saying,
Yeah, got it.
you know, and I never did public speaking even in high school, because when they looked at me and they saw me at Cranbourne, you know, the kind of clothes I
Exactly,
wear,
exactly.
it was very bad. It was a very bad picture. And I didn't have the English. My English was very bad. My grammar was terrible. Vocabulary was weak. So I didn't fit in. But I had the inspiration when I saw these men, you know, preaching and teaching. And I was lucky to find this other lady called Farirai Katongera, who loved books. And she introduced me to books.
Okay.
So she said to me, if you're going to change your life, you need to read. So she said to me, I may not give you money, but what I can give you are books.
Okay.
If you don't mind, we can go to any one of the bookshops in town and I can buy you books.
Serious?
She bought me so many books. I remember on that particular day, I think she bought me over 30 books.
Wow.
I think she spent over $1,000 because I was buying these books from Innovate Bookshops.
Excellent, yeah.
And of course,
crazy.
Milton Kamwendo, who is
Exactly.
my big brother, would say we don't feel poverty on behalf of our customers.
Exactly.
So you needed to part with that money.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is his motto. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got those books, and when I started reading those books, you know, I got inspired and I started improving my vocabulary, and in no time I was a different man. On the path of life, I got to meet different kinds of people. You know, I met Ivan Mawarire.
Ivan, the famous speaker.
Yes,
Yeah.
who taught me that if you want to be a good speaker, if you want to be a great speaker, learn to tell stories, become a storyteller. So it was a technique that I learned from Ivan. But I also met a lady called Aida Chimulu. She's now based in England, Scotland, in fact. And she introduced me to Toastmasters. And I joined that organization I was there for some time. And then, of course, because of my passion to also impact other lives, after having been voted, you know, the 2012 champion of public speaking, I went to South Africa. I represented the country. I came out second place.
Serious?
And when I came back, I met the honor first pack, Mr. Langton Chukugwa,
Okay.
who said to me, young man, you
Honorable
gifted.
Chukugwa, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
a senator
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a great man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he said to me, I would like to assist you on this journey because I feel you're talented, I feel you're gifted. So he paid for me to go to South Africa to go and watch and learn from international speakers like Les Brown, Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, okay.
You know, they had a conference which lasted, I think, for about 2 weeks or so. And he paid for me as well, including the airfares, the hotel bills, everything. He paid for me, picked me with his car from the first time I got into his Jeep. Boss. It took me to airport and the feeling was just amazing.
Serious?
Yeah. So that's how I started. He said, if you do a good job on me, because I also want to learn how to speak well.
Exactly.
So you can coach me, and if you do a good job on me, then I can also refer to other people. So that's how I started. There was a man who believed in me that I could actually do it. And even after taking me to South Africa, when I came back, he still paid me for coaching him.
Serious?
So that was so amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
So once I got into the marketplace, because of him introducing me to a group, to some CEOs, they kept on referring me to the next person, and it's been marvelous, I must.
This is fascinating. I didn't know that you're a gardener.
Yeah.
And these are some of the inspirational stories which we want to tell someone who is in Malawi, in Lilongwe. Someone is probably they are working as a gardener in Kenya. They are working as a gardener in Nairobi. I was a vendor. I used to sell sweets. I used to sell bananas. But here we are. And God has been nice to us.
Good.
But people, they might think that it was easy for you to transform from being a gardener to where you are now, right now.
True.
I think you've coached ministers. You've coached some of the famous pastors.
True.
Some of the famous prophets.
True.
I really want to know, what can you actually say? What made you transform from being, was it the power of saying, I can do it, or I can do whatever this guy is also doing? You said you failed your O levels, and there's no one who was going to expect that someone who once failed their O levels is going to be a coach. Coaching people who are more educated, and some of the people are degreed, some of them are even doctors, if I'm not mistaken.
Very true.
Including probably the honorables which you're talking about. So what was it when you were in that kind of situation whereby there's no one to turn to, and you are a gardener, things are, because this is 5 good years and this is a whole life for someone. But I've got some people who remain as gardeners for the rest of their life because they say, was it the transformation? Was it watching other people doing it? Or was it because the Damascus moment, did it come when you read books? We also want to help these guys as well.
It's a combination of a lot of things, Jerry, I must admit. And I think sometimes it's destiny. When I was there at that particular church, the kind of people that spoke to me, because I was also a very notorious young man, okay, as a young man.
Yeah. Tell us.
Yeah, I had an elder at that particular church, Mr. Mutsaka. He's late now, but may his soul rest in peace. He was a great man.
Okay.
My other name is Tawanda.
Okay.
And I had done a couple of mischievous things at church. And he called me and he said, come here, young man. I went to him and he said to me, do you have any other name apart from Tawanda? Tawanda is my second name.
Serious, but it was one which was popular.
Exactly. Because my grandmother was called Mbuyawa Tawanda.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what made it very popular. But my first name was Blessing. So he said, from today onwards,
don't call yourself.
I no longer call you Tawanda. I'll call you Blessing.
Blessing, okay.
And there's power in names. And I guess that's how transformation then started. But books were a serious help or enabler, catalyst to helping me change my consciousness, change the type of a person that I am. And I believe that everybody has the power to do that. If I go back to Cranbourne, where I was a gardener, I remember approaching one of the senior pastors at my church and telling him that I'm tired of being called a garden boy, because I had small little kids, 5, 10-year-olds calling me, hey, you garden boy, come here, come here. I didn't feel good about that.
Yeah.
So I decided to, because I had read a book from Dr. Miles Monroe called Maximize Your Potential. And when I read that book, I think so many scales were removed out of my eyes and I started seeing life from a different perspective. And I coined a statement, sanitation expert, after reading that book. And I approached one of the pastors. I said, is there an opportunity for you to begin to call me a sanitation expert?
Exactly.
As opposed to a garden boy. Because words are powerful.
So you started calling yourself a sanitation expert.
Exactly, sanitation expert. And I needed the pastor to make an announcement in the church.
No, don't call him a garden
boy. Yeah. So because of different experiences, meeting different kinds of people that spoke into my life, a lot changed. Okay. And I then met Les Brown, who is one of the most proficient, powerful speakers that the world has ever heard. And after listening to his story, and I'm thinking of mine, I said I want to be the Les Brown of Africa. So I would watch Les Brown, I would watch T.D. Jakes, Noel Jones, so many speakers from outside. And I can tell you that they left an indelible mark on me. And that really transformed the person that I am today.
Okay.
Yes.
Right now, I think previously in our last discussion here at Jailbreak Africa, I was talking to a miner, and his name is Kosi Rose. He highlighted something which was also powerful when he said, if I was going to be successful in school, there was never going to be Kosi Rose, the miner, the famous miner from Kadoma. So what do you also say about your destiny in terms of probably failing O level? Because probably if you had failed O level, you were never going to meet these pastors. You were never going to meet the Les Browns or the Les Browns in South Africa. What do you also say about school? Is it when you fail? Is it when you just fail school? Is it because most of the people, they think that life stops. Even traditionally, you look at how your grandmother treated you because you had failed at school. You look at some of our parents, they think that if someone fails O level, that's the end of life. What do you have to say about that?
I guess it's the marketing that has been done around school and how school has been defined. I believe that we all have the capacity to succeed and to become meaningful human beings in our quest to achieving our dreams. There is no one size fits all, and there is no one path only to realizing a dream. Am I saying school is bad? No. Not at all. I love school. I just graduated last year with my English and communication degree. But I must say, even when I started public speaking, I remember I had a doc who called me. Hello, is this Dr. Blessing? Is this Blessing? is this Blessing Mandipira? I said, yes, this is Blessing Mandipira. Yes. He said, you're speaking to Doc?
Exactly.
He gave me his name.
Call me Doc.
Yes. I said, how are you, Doc? He said, I'm a very fine young man. Is there an opportunity for us to meet? I said, of course. When do you want us to meet? He said, we can meet on a Friday at Avondale Cafe Nash, 11 o'clock. Are you available? I said, of course I'm available. But may I please know the agenda? He said, it's about public speaking. I've been referred to you. I said, no problems, Doc. I will be there exactly at 11 a.m. I get there, and the first question Doc asked me, what are your qualifications? What did you study? I got stuck. I said to him, Doc, I don't have a degree or an MBA. He said, so do you think you can coach me? I said, if it's public speaking, yes, I can help you.
I can help you.
I can help you. He said, but don't you know other people that are actually degree or have MBAs who can train?
At least an MBA.
Yes. I said, I know many of those. In fact, I have plenty of those people that can actually help you.
Exactly.
Who have doctorates and who are MBA graduates. He said, please, can you give me their numbers? Now, I have so many doctors that I've actually trained and so many professors that I've also trained in public speaking, executives. I gave him numbers.
The referrals, yeah.
And I said, there you go, Doc. Then, after a week or so, he calls me and he says, I have been told to come back to you. Unfortunately, I had to be adamant a little bit. I said to him, Doc, I'm not in a position to assist you. He said, but you can help me because I've been told to come back to you. I said, I can't help you, Doc, because you judge according to appearances. He said, I'm sorry, Blessing. Please, can you help me? And I remembered that I'm Christian. I'm born again.
Exactly. Yeah, no longer that blessing.
I forgave him. And of course, we had to meet and we did the training, which is actually my executive training program that I offer for 10 hours. Then it was $1,000 for 10 hours. That now it's actually a $3,000 program. I took him through the process of how to become a proficient and powerful speaker. It's embarrassing to be a dog, and yet you can't speak. Learned you are, facts you know, you can regurgitate information, but how to do it well in front of crowds?
You can't.
You can't. And you need help. I always tell people, ask for help not because you are weak. Ask for help because you want to be stronger than you are.
Exactly.
So I ended up helping him, and we did our training, and after we're done, he traveled to China, and when he got there, he sent me,
the videos.
He sent me pictures of suits and ties and shirts. He said, Blessing, I want you to pick 5 suits. I want you to pick some shirts and some shoes, and when I come back to Zimbabwe, I'll bring you these. And surely when he came back, he brought me these wonderful, sophisticated suits. It was, I think, some English writer who said, clothes maketh a man. Shakespeare, in fact.
Exactly, Shakespeare,
Yes.
exactly.
And he was right, because when I wore those suits,
The perception, I even increased my bill. But we have a good relationship. I mean, when he came back, in no time he became one of the presidents for some professional institution. And when you hear him speak today, he's such a marvel to watch and to listen to. Okay, that's great. So that was the transformation. That is what you were going to say about school. But another note, I've noticed that most of the people, they struggle with speaking, especially if you're going to notice, most of us are coming from the rural areas. When you learn it Nyagatsapa, you learn it Chingwe, you learn it Mundenda, you'll be using Shona on daily basis. Probably from ECD, you're using Shona. English is your secondary, and you don't even know how to speak in English. I still remember when I started my primary, even in secondary, or even after I'd finished, it is better for you to point a gun to me than give me a microphone to speak in public. So you are afraid, and when you've got fear, sometimes fear actually represents that you don't know how to do that something. So whenever I'm getting on stage, whenever I experience a bit of fear, I just know that I'm supposed to be working on something. So my question is, for the sake of us as Africans, how important is public speaking from early childhood, to primary to secondary? Because I strongly believe that as much as we've got our mathematics, as much as if with our science, our geography, our English, but I strongly feel that yes, we write English, yes, we speak in English in an English lesson, but what about some of these skills which seem to be so vital in our life? Why aren't they are not standalone subjects? For example, I strongly feel that sales is supposed to be learned by everyone. Because no matter what you do, no matter what product you sell, no matter what service you're going to deliver, so long if you cannot sell it at a price which is going to at a good price and also in right quantities, you're never going to be rich, but you might be talented. I also believe that also when you cannot articulate things, when you cannot speak, it's going to be also very difficult for you to even sell. So I strongly feel that before you even know how to sell, you're supposed to know how to speak. But the question is, where do you see the gap? Because you are in the industry, you have trained a lot of people. What is the gap? Because even in business, I'm asked to go and present in front of a board of 10 executives, but I'm afraid of human beings. I cannot speak. I cannot deliver a speech. Why is this important to each and every CEO who is out there? For each and every manager, for each and every supervisor who is handling 5 people in their department. Right. Why is this skill very, very important? And where also do you see us as Africans? You're mentioning statistics from America. If 85% of Americans are scared of speaking, I guess 99% of Africa.
You can say that again? Yeah, 100%. And I like where you started from to talk about fear. I was reading a book from Milton Kamendo some time back, and there was this acronym FEAR, and I liked how he put it across. He said fear stands for false evidence appearing real.
No, exactly.
And most of us are afraid with things that will never hurt us. We will actually be emancipated and be liberated if we learn the art of public speaking. It's a critical skill. Les Brown once said, you can't see the picture when you are in the frame. Most people don't know that they need this particular skill until they are faced with an opportunity. People are going for interviews every day, and people are failing
exactly.
interviews.
Exactly.
You look at their CV and how they communicate, there's no relationship.
Exactly.
And that transformation has to start from, you'll be lucky to find someone who can actually tell you that you need this. But I think it's a skill that is needed by everyone, just like sales, as you were saying. Everyone has to learn how to speak well. Everyone needs the confidence to articulate. Because how will you sell a product? How are you going to sell an idea? How will you convince the president of Zimbabwe that this is a great idea if you can't communicate effectively? How will you convince your CEO that there is need for us to change certain things in this organization if you can't sell it? And that selling has to be infused with communication, good articulation skills. And this is why some corporates, especially here in Zimbabwe, I feel that they have done quite well in having their people.
Empower their people, yeah.
Exactly. I remember the CEO of Zimtrade brought all of his staff to actually train and be equipped with the skills of communication. Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, they have seen the value of this particular skill. And every other person in their organization need to go through this. And I feel that this is exactly what people need to do, what corporates need to do, what top management should be able to do. In fact, no one should be qualified to be in the top management if they can't communicate. What are they doing there? Because most of the time they are in meetings. Most of the time they are discussing deals, they are negotiating. And if somebody cannot talk and they can't speak, I think that's lack of power. So to be powerful, you need the skills of rhetoric.
Yeah. So what about, thank you so much for that. What about, yes, we know, how can we actually infuse this into our curriculums? I have been saying that sales is actually needed from ECD. But unfortunately in this part of the world, they don't view sales. They think that everyone can sell. Like what you also think that everyone can speak. It doesn't mean that if you know how to say good morning, if you know how to say good afternoon, if you know how to speak, even in your, what they will think also, probably you can also clarify that. They think that you need to, when you're a public speaker, you always need to be a public speaker speaking in English. That's the biggest mistake which I've also noticed. They don't know that sometimes, yes, you can speak in your native language, your Shona,
correct,
but you might not even be a public speaker. For example, people they don't know, they may think that speaking in good English is what we call public speaking, or probably speaking through the nose is what we call public speaking. Probably you can clarify that first before I get into the curriculum, because you said 85% of the Americans, they are scared of speaking publicly, but they're speaking English day in, day out, which is the only subject which they know in their life, most of them. But they also struggle with public speaking. So you can clarify that. Is there someone who has once come to you and they're actually saying, no, I want to learn, but I want to learn public speaking, but I want to articulate those words. I want to be controlling my mother's language, if it's Shona, if it's Ndebele, but I want to learn public speaking, but it's Shona now.
For most of the people, especially on this side of the continent, in this country, Zimbabwe, when someone is coming through for public speaking, they definitely want it in English. I have not heard so many people, I think it's less than 0.5% of the people that have come to me and they want public speaking in Shona. I guess it's an issue of how we have been wired or programmed, but even in Shona, you can do very well in public speaking, speaking in your vernacular language. Okay? Malema Julius never started speaking in English well.
Exactly.
He always used to speak in his vernacular language most of the time. But he realized that in order for me to speak on a global level, then English is going to play a big role. So, can you be a great public speaker in Shona? Of course.
Of course.
Can you be a great public speaker in English? Of course. These are just languages. But it's unfortunate that, again, the English language is the number one language. We learn everything in English.
English, yes.
You do your maths in English. You do your geography in English. You submit reports in English. You go for an interview is in English. Because we are speaking to the global world. But whether you speak Shona, you speak Venda, you speak Chewa, Nigerian language,
Igbo.
Whatever language you use, public speaking is a standalone entity. Yeah, it's an area of specialty. You can do public speaking well in your own language, but when you think about speaking to a global space now,
you need to speak in English.
Comes into play.
Okay. So let us now talk about the curriculum now. I've been condemning our own curriculum, especially most of the schools in Africa, be it in Zambia, be it in Zimbabwe. I've noticed that it's always the traditional: do mathematics, do your science, do your geography, but these vital skills have been missing. And I guess that's where you actually had to come in and say, no, I can fill this space, because no one is actually occupying that space as much as you did Toastmasters. But you notice that most of us, especially the people in Africa and the people, are not also exposed to those kind of trainings. And also some of the people, they are not patient to follow the World Toastmasters program. But they can come to you, 10 hours, I'm done, I can go and speak in China. So what do you have to say in terms of our curriculum? How do you view our curriculum, especially right now we now have 5.0, and how do you view it in terms of it giving these necessary skills? Even if a teacher is teaching you, sometimes you notice whilst you're at school, another lesson you'll be sleeping. Because the teacher cannot even articulate, you notice that this guy, when he's working his own mathematics, he knows what he's doing. But now giving that information to others, he can't. Yeah.
Public speaking, I think, should be compulsory for every student. Because the teachers that we are blaming today because of their ineffectiveness in communication, they were once kids just like us.
Exactly.
And they missed that opportunity for training. They are trained to remember stuff.
Exactly.
Not on how to deliver stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not just in schools, even in universities. You have a professor who really knows. Some of these people are just taught to give information. And how they do it is none of their business.
None of their business.
They are simply paid to give that information. If they give you the information, yes, they have. So it's a done deal. Okay? But somebody has to go an extra mile as a teacher, as a lecturer, to equip themselves with the skill of communication. Not communication that is written only, but communication on how you deliver what you are delivering. I used to know this Sanyamandwe gentleman when we were doing mathematics in high school. And we had another teacher as well. You know, when people lack the passion to do something, we hated maths for 2 years. And Mr. Sanyamandwe came second term. Yeah? And this guy would come in class with a white shirt, black trousers, and his tie. Put his hands in the pocket and would start working maths by the board there. I'm telling you, the whole class was at work. But there was another teacher who also taught us maths for 2 good years.
But it probably was even better than this one.
But the way he put it across, the how to say.
And people hate that subject because of how you are delivering it to those
95% of our class. And in fact, less than 5 people passed maths. But had we gotten Mr. Sanyamandwe earlier, it could have been a different story altogether. So we have people that are in front of people every day. It's happening in conferences. You know, people
ministers,
are
yes.
Everywhere.
Presidents.
Yes, pastors.
Yeah.
People are sleeping in these venues.
Exactly.
In these auditoriums. People are sleeping, snoring in parliament.
Exactly.
Because of people that cannot present and speak.
So we are agreeing that this skill is supposed to be included in our curriculum and it must be compulsory.
It's mandatory. It has to be mandatory. And that way we'll create a new breed of people, a new breed of citizens.
Okay.
Because communication is power.
It's power, exactly.
You are meant to defend yourself if you go to court.
Even if you go to court, if you're going to say something, and you know some people, they actually get into jail because they can't speak. That's why you have to also hire a lawyer to speak on your behalf.
Yes.
And sometimes when you're now being interviewed, like what they do, which is called cross-examination, you end up now saying what is not supposed to be said because you don't know how to say it.
Exactly. 100%. So it's a skill for everyone. Whether you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're into customer service, you're an engineer, you're a teacher, you're a lecturer.
You're a programmer.
Whoever you are. Yeah, regardless of the expertise that you possess, you need to be a good communicator. And learning is the foundation.
So let us now talking about the School of Public Speaking, this brand which you've actually started in Zimbabwe. How is it going? How can someone be part of School of Public Speaking? How is the school also helping the executives, students? Like what you're saying, someone can come for an interview, you're looking at the CV, brilliant, 15 points, 1 degree, but when you call them for an interview, you start asking them, they can't even present even 1/4 of what is on their CV. Because why? They are not speakers. How is the School of Public Speaking helping? Or we want to talk about 2 brands here. There's Blessing Mandipira, the brand. There's also School of Public Speaking, the brand as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
The School of Public Speaking has been very, very helpful to so many people in this country and beyond.
Yeah.
When we started it in 2018, we thought it was just, one of those schools. But with the people that have come through now, I think we have trained thousands and thousands of people in helping them to become confident communicators. It's been 5 or 6 years for the School of Public Speaking. We are based in Avondale West, 226 Sherwood Drive, but we are also in town, Karigamombe 8th floor, here in Harare. And we are also in Bloeo. the people that we have assisted are a testimony of what's possible from all areas of life. Your CEOs have come through. Your parliamentarians have come through. Your doctors, your lawyers, they're coming through. And the reason why they're coming through is because they realize that this is a skill I didn't have back when I was at university. I didn't get to be taught on how to communicate. But now, because people have made serious strides in their lives, they are now popular, they are now famous, they are now successful. And people will ask, please, can you come and tell us your story? We get into public speaking. You were never exposed to speaking before crowds. And now you realize that you inspire so many people, and you just need to prune those skills, to prune yourself to become more confident and more effective in communication.
Okay, now let's talk about, I'm glad that you guys are helping a lot of people, but let me talk about how can someone join. Right now, this program is for Africa. In other countries, these schools don't even exist. So if I want to be a part of the school of public speaking, can I do it whilst I'm in Zambia? Can I do it whilst I'm in Malawi? Do you accommodate people who also wants to join online? Like what you said, you are in Harare, you are also in Bulawayo, in Zimbabwe, but there's a guy who is in Tare.
Yes.
There's a guy who is in Wange. There's a guy who is in Vic Falls. How do you help these ones?
Distance is not a barrier. We are living in an age where we have different platforms. We can do online training. Just last year, we trained over 30, 40 students from outside, people that were in Australia, people that were in China, people that were in the United Kingdom. We can do online, and we can always adjust our times. We can adjust to suit them
their time.
They are. Yes, we are ready to do that. School of Public Speaking has coaches. It's not
one-man band.
Yeah, it's got coaches. We've got about 7, 8 coaches
qualified
that
coaches
are available. Yes, to actually help and assist in having people to speak way much better than they were before.
That's good. And probably one last question on School of Public Speaking. Can kids also join the School of Public Speaking? Because I noticed that teaching kids, when someone is too young, they get that skill better. When I'm now old, 40 years, 50 years, you're trying to teach me that, no, I'm not supposed to use this accent, I'm supposed to use this. I'll be like, dude, what are you saying? But when you catch them young, do you also accommodate primary kids who are in the primary level, your grade 1s, grade 2, grade 3s, and are they also coming?
They are welcome. Our school is for everyone. It's for everyone, from school kids to high school kids to your university graduates.
And no qualifications needed.
No qualifications needed. I wasn't qualified at all to.
But we're training people.
Exactly. So we don't segregate. We don't discriminate based on your intellectual capacity to say you need to have 3 A's in order for you to come or you need a degree to do this. No, it's a need for everyone. Most people cannot communicate well. So it's an open check for everybody to come through and enroll with the School of Public Speaking so that we grow together.
Exactly. Then probably, as your parting shot, I know that you're an author. This is the book. And how much is it?
$10.
$10. So for only $10, Dazzle Your Audience. So what does this book talk about?
The book, as the title suggests, impress, charm your audience. Make them feel like $1,000,000 when you are talking to them. Let them be right here in your palms, so that from beginning up until the very end, as you deliver your message, they are engaged 100%. It's a tool because it has got all the techniques and methods and ways that you can maximize on as a student of public speaking to dazzle, to mesmerize your audience.
Okay. Probably on books, which book do you recommend, or which book can you say this book actually changed my life? Because personally, I started reading, I think I started reading in 2020, just before the COVID.
Yeah.
I never used to read books, and I noticed that I was missing a lot. Even the way I'm now doing business, the way I'm now handling conflicts, the way I'm now handling life, it's now different as compared to when I used to just think that reading is not important in my life. And that book is called How to Be a Fierce Competitor by Jeffrey J. Fox. Up to now, I'm still using those principles to run business, to run my life. So which book can you actually advise our audience and our listeners to say, this book, it's a must read?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a great read. But it's not just one book.
There are plenty, exactly.
Because I've read so many books. I've been exposed to a lot of literature on leadership, on strategy. I would call myself, I am a student of the University of Life, because then I had not joined any university as yet. So to encourage myself, I would say I come from the University
of Life,
where I learned the importance of reading books. So I have a library, my personal library. It's so rich because I was taught this a long time ago by this lady called Farilai, that you need to read. The white man coined a phrase: if you want to hide something from a black man,
put it
in a book. What a shame to be in a position of authority and leadership and you hate reading. I'm glad you transformed, Jerry, and so in 2020 you joined the
University of Life.
Exactly.
And even right now, I think personally, I have said no, even if you come with your masters for free. I'm not saying people mustn't do the master's degrees, doctorates, etc.
True.
But I've said when I read 55 books in a year, to me, I think it's a lot of degrees.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
In fact, there is a university in America. It's called the University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly.
They said if you were to read at least 4 books in a month, by the time you finish the year, you would have read 52 books, because the year has 52 weeks.
Exactly.
And that's an equivalent of somebody who actually has a doctorate. So those are not just degrees, they are doctorates.
They're doctorates.
So you are Dr. Jerry.
So thank you so much, my brother. So thank you so much. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate you. And keep on watching. Today we had a fantastic man. This guy is a man of honor. Mr. Blessing Mandipira of School of Public Speaking. He's from Zimbabwe. And we're discussing about public speaking, life itself. He was a gardener. And if you look at him right now, what is running, what is driving, what is wearing, you might never think that this guy never had O-level. So these inspiring stories are the ones which are going to change the status of Africa. We cannot continue to be the last continent. We cannot continue to have our resources being taken by other continents because Africa can't. So this is Jailbreak Africa, where we change everyone's mind, and it's you and me who are going to change Africa. It's you and me who are going to make Africa a better continent to be. We are going to be #1 continent. We want to employ the British in Zimbabwe, working for an African. We want to employ Chinese in Zambia. We want to employ the guys from Canada. They're supposed to be employed in Malawi. That's what we want as Africa. That's my dream. And I believe that you also want that dream. And remember to subscribe. Remember to comment. Let us have this discussion. Let us continue with it on social media. Thank you so much. Until next time, it's Nyazungu, the Chartered Vendor, out.